Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. We're thrilled that you could join us and give up your valuable time to be part of our community discussing all about accessible learning and designing with dignity. And this webinar is going to last about 30-40 minutes or so, and you will get an email after the webinar with the links to the slides and all the resources that are in them as well. But I'm not on my own. As usual, I'm delighted to be joined by the wonderful Claudia, who's going to be managing our chat today. Welcome, Claudia. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Louise?
Really good, thank you. I'm so pleased that you're here.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
So you've got some examples as well that are going to be in our deck, and you always love to do a wonderful introduction. So take it away.
Well, today we're going to talk about something very important that means inclusion and accessibility. And, one size does not fit all. So we need to help our teachers, our students, and people around us to have better instruction, understand better, feel at ease, and achieve their potential. So today we're doing just that. What do you think?
Oh, suddenly you disappeared, but there you are.
Well, I think you
yes.
agreed, but you just kicked me away.
I think there's a shortcut key on my keyboard.
No,
thank you, Claudia. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to be doing and talking about accessibility in a way that maybe people haven't looked at accessibility before, but also putting a lens on what we see around us, whether it's online or whether it's physical, resources, posters, all of these things can be made accessible with ThingLink. So we're going to show you how over the course of the next 30 to 40 minutes. And I want to give a special shout out to Mark, who's joining us from Homestead, Florida. Thank you so much. We are delighted that you're here. And I can say with and Molly's joining us as well from the UK. These are our certified trainer community. So we are honored that you're joining us. And Mark is going to be our newest ThingLink certified trainer joining us from Florida. So I'm going to add to the stage now. I've got this lovely deck. And as I said, you will get the slides afterwards. And they've got all the links in. So you're more than welcome to share these slides, share this YouTube link, anything that's going to help you. So we're delighted. So I'm going to just start by kind of giving you a little bit of an overview. And I'm just going to put the comments off the stage so it gives a nice clear view. So every EdTech tool, every digital learning tool has to make sure that they are compliant with WCAG 2.2. And these are the 4 pillars or the 4 principles that every education technology should abide by. And that is, they need to think about whether the information and the interface components, are they able to be perceived by all senses? They need to make sure the user interface components are operable as well. So that means you can use screen readers, you can use AAC, other types of devices. It doesn't matter what device you're on, you should be able to operate the elements in multiple ways. And that the information and the operation of the user interface is understandable. And lastly, it's robust. So I just want to say to you that ThingLink meets WCAG 2.2 and is going further, is going so much further than just these 4 principles. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is to make sure that we're showing you how you can go much further than just being compliant, because compliance is just a tick box. And we know that we don't know about the accessibility requirements of everybody in our community, our class in front of us. We know that some learners may not present with requirements. Some adults maybe don't understand that they've got requirements until later on in life. And for that reason, we want to make sure that we are designing learning, that our experiences are accessible, inclusive, and grounded in dignity as well. And that's not just for the people consuming the content, but for the students and the teachers that are creating content as well, which means that we're going one stage further than just the principles of WCAG. The CAG. And we're also thinking about your wider communities as well. So that isn't just your learners, but the parents and carers in your community, the allied professionals in your community. It doesn't matter where your school community is sharing that information, whether it's on the website, whether it's a poster on the school gates, it should all be accessible. And this is what we're trying to do by going so much further than just tick box functionality, and showing you how you can make this so much more relevant and right for your learners. So if you haven't used ThingLink before and you are shiny, sparkly new to ThingLink, here's a nice summary. ThingLink helps you to take the real world, real places, environments, situations, your materials and your stories, and bring them to life as accessible, immersive learning experiences. And for those of you who haven't seen this before, there's a little 3D object in here which I can enlarge and make bigger. And this is a 3D object of Vygotsky, which has got the hotspots in there as well. And his theory was that you can learn through interacting with your environment. And this is obviously many, many years ago. And ThingLink was developed by Ulla Maria Koivula on this kind of theory that we learn through interacting with our environments, but what about our digital environments as well? And how can you interact with environments, you know, if they're somewhere else or you can't get there? And how do we make sure that you can interact with that environment in a way that's right for you? So accessibility is really at the core of ThingLink. And I can't think of one particular use case or story or case study that we've made about ThingLink and people using it that hasn't had an element of inclusion or accessibility. So I've got two sides of the coin here, if you like, and there's the accessibility by default features, and we're going to have a look at those. Yeah. And they are things like translation and immersive reader and web reader that help all learners engage with that content, and it works across all devices. We're also looking at ThingLink where you can make existing materials accessible, and that might be multimodal or branched experiences. But then there's the other side of the coin that we see you, educators in our communities, whether you're a learning designer or, you know, a teacher or someone that's using it for other ways, you're using ThingLink in ways that support the comfort, the confidence and understanding of that person who's viewing it. And that might be about a space, it might be a transition, it might be a routine, it might be a process. But all of the ways that you're building this are really supporting learning outcomes and making the best learning experiences that you can possibly make. And then on the end, I've got this example, which you can click into, which is thinking about how you connect with your learners as well. And that can happen in so many different ways, but a short video introducing a topic and making it personal to your learners can go a very long way. So if you haven't used ThingLink before, and we're going to start thinking about some of the built-in accessibility features, I think this is a really nice example. So here I've got an AI generated image, which is of the growth sequence. And that does a very good job at conveying the stages from seed right the way through to a seedling there. But the hotspots can be used to add in an additional layer of information. And rather than just seeing that image as it is, we can actually guide the learner through that experience. So here I've got my first image and hotspot, and I've actually got a video in there, which is saying this is about the interactive growth sequence. And as I hover over, you can see there's thumbnails there that pop up that show the learner what's that tag's going to contain. And this really helps to reduce cognitive overload as well. So I'm going to move on now and show you the first thing that I want to in this particular example, which is the immersive reader function. And if you're a Microsoft user, you will already have seen Immersive Reader, I'm sure. But this is something that's baked into each of these tags. So this is the text and media tag. When I click on it, you can see that there's a book and speaker icon. And when I click on that, it opens up the text in that tag into Immersive Reader. We've got text to speech.
Stage 1, germination.
But incredibly, we can add on different legibility options and saturation. We've also got different syllables that can be added to different colors. We've even got picture dictionaries so that you can see the pictures as well. But also there's a translation option, and I've got that set to Portuguese. And here that's giving us the option for text to speech in Portuguese as well. So even just having the text in that tag with Immersive Reader is giving us a really, really nice baked in tool. But then if you think about another aspect there that we've got to look at as well, so I'm just going to go forward to this one. We've also got ways of bringing the text in the image to life. Now, I'm sure that many of you have seen things like this. This is a resource that's been created with Canva. Actually, it's an off-the-shelf exemplar. It's something that everybody teaches at some point or learns about, which is the journey of a water droplet and the water cycle. But the problem is, and please do put your thoughts in the chat, because you'll see these everywhere. People can just go on and pull these graphics off. You can generate with them with AI. But the problem is that the text is locked within the image.
Yeah.
So you cannot use screen readers with this unless you've got all the text somewhere else. But also the text is quite small. It can't be translated. So how can you then take something like that, make it interactive, guide the learner, as you just seen with that other example? And I'm going to show you how. So I just literally downloaded that Canva image, uploaded it into ThingLink, and then I added my little hotspots. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if this little cartoon character, and I have you to thank for this, Claudia, because you did help me with this. Wouldn't it be nice if the cartoon character actually welcomed my learners to this story? And that's exactly what we've done.
Let's follow the journey of a water droplet.
And already that's made that whole image a lot more engaging. And there's other controls here. We've even got closed captions in that particular video as well. You've got picture in picture. You can stop, play, pause it. So if you have instructions, that learner can then listen to those instructions. Maybe they're broken down. Maybe you're saying welcome. They can replay that as well. And the text, of course, is in there as well with the Immersive Reader. And now number 1 opens. So they're opening up in the right sequence. And the learner has to click on them and view them before the next one opens. So we call this locked mode. And I've added in alt text to the images that are here as well, which is really easy to do. So now we've gone from a static image, which is inaccessible. And of course, this can also be shared in multiple ways, because if I click on the little button at the bottom here, which is the accessibility web player, that whole graphic is now played as a web player. You've got other accessibility options that can be used. All the alt text will show. It will work with screen readers. There's things like changing the fonts to legibility fonts and dyslexic fonts, tooltips, line height, saturation, and another screen reader in there as well. So that comes with everything ThingLink that you create. It's there for you, and you've got confidence that it's part of that experience. So that's how you can take a simple Canva graphic and make it accessible. And when you're ready to share it, simply click on share. You can embed it into your website, share it by link. I can embed it into a Canva slide if I wanted to. So you could even have your ThingLink that was a Canva embedded into your Canva presentation. How about that, Claudia? I know you're dying to jump in and say something here.
No, I love every second of it. First of all, because finally we bring a static page to life, which is, it's something that books cannot allow us to do, but at the same time, we can use books to create this magic. And this is an added value, because sometimes teachers are going, yeah, but then we've got our books and I don't really have time. But if you just take a picture, you can animate books in seconds, and then you can have video, you can have audio, you can have extra explanation, and of course you have all the accessibility features that ThingLink offers us. And at the end of the day, you can do a multimodal lesson in less than 5 minutes. And you accommodate all different students. And they're happy because for once they change the way they study and do things. And this is another value that not everyone has. So that's kind of cool. I love that.
And you can share it in Google Classroom as well. So there's, if you are a Google for Education using authority or school, if you simply click on the Google Classroom icon, that will open up the pop-up where you can choose to use it as materials, or whether it's something that's part of a task. So yeah, you've got all of the features. And then of course you get the statistics as well. So you can see how people have interacted with it as well. And it will tell you how people have explored the tags as well. So a nice ciao, Louise, from someone that's just joined us. Thank you for joining us. So Canva infographics, where you see them now, just take a moment and just take a pause and say, is that accessible? How can I make it accessible? And that's how you do it. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. So we have got, and I've got this nice image here, which is something that I really love. And I don't know how many of you, when you go into a school, you see things like this, and they're quite often either hand-drawn and made into like big values boards or sketch notes and those kinds of things. And I went into this primary school and I just loved this. And I said to them, do you know what? That would be great if you could hear the young people's voices, on the points. And that's exactly what they set out to do. So they made an accessible version of this with the students explaining what the points and the values meant to them. So I think that's a really nice way of being able to take something that's even like a big drawing, taking a photo of it, and then being able to put those hotspots as well. So when you go to share it as well, you can also share as a QR code. And this is exactly what this primary school did. And they made a poster of the values that the pupils expected of the adults in their school community, how they should be treated. And they turned it into a really beautiful ThingLink. So this then was a poster that was displayed up on the walls and in the windows for parents to see on the parents' notice board. And of course, when you click on the share button and the share link, here you get the QR code. So they were able to download the QR code and stick it on there as well. And they wanted to say things like, make sure everyone...
We give each other hugs to feel loved.
And I just think that's... how much more impactful is that as a poster than just seeing the words there? And the words are great, but it's quite visually cluttered. So they want to make sure they have a fight-free playground. And of course, you can put alt text in there. You can use all of those accessibility features as well. But one of the other things I wanted to show you was there's also some built-in translation, not just immersive reader. So when you're in your ThingLink account, you can actually choose which languages you want to display at the bottom. So I'm just going to choose Welsh and click Save and Translate. And you can see at the bottom, it says the translation is in progress. And if I click on the translation button here, you'll see that Welsh will be there shortly. And when the viewer clicks on their chosen language, it'll show every single text.
We give each other hugs to feel
in that chosen language. So you can choose to translate the whole thing with one click. And of course, it's not going to translate the image that's locked in the text, but you've surfaced it to make it so much more engaging than it is. So I think that's a really, really lovely example of how you can bring anything to life. Now, we mentioned using Canva infographics, and I'm sure that you've seen a lot of things like this recently. I see them on LinkedIn all the time, people sharing infographics and things that they've made with Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, but they're not accessible at all. And I know that the information that we've just shown you is not so vital. It is incredibly valuable information. But next time you're on your school campus, or even in your doctor's surgery or anywhere, have a look around at the posters and ask yourselves, how would someone view this if they had English as an additional language, if they, were not legible, not in terms of their literacy skills, they weren't able to see things legibly. So it's really easy, as we've just seen, to turn those Notebook LM infographics into interactive assets as well. And with Canva, I just put the QR code on there as well. And then these can be put up around the campus. And I've even got a message from the principal.
Hello, I'm the principal of the university. Your personal safety and well-being are among the most important aspects of university life. This poster shares.
So here we've got vital information all about being safe on the school campus, knowing where to report if you've witnessed or experienced a crime. So you've taken a static poster, a static digital image, and made it completely accessible. And it's super easy just to add those hotspots in and to take the text out of there. So another nice example for you, and you'll be able to go through each of those examples when you look at the slide deck as well. And thinking about the workplace as well, it's not just for students and parents and carers, but imagine if you have, mandatory safety information that you need to have. I mean, you go onto building sites and there's safety posters everywhere. You have to have the right safety posters and the right notices. But imagine just taking that safety poster and again, making sure that it's accessible and much easier to understand. And all I've done is taken a poster there and used the JPEG image to turn it into a ThingLink. And of course, you've got all of those options there at the bottom. If you want it to be page width, you can do that as well. And you can make it full screen as well. So all of those options available to you. But so those are the things that use some of the default features. But what about kind of 360 images and breaking down complex processes? And I love this example because it's just like a kind of adult escape room. And if you click on the link, you'll be able to go into it. This is a university in Helsinki where they have this on-site training facility for putting in water pumps. And originally, the information would have been this rather boring PDF of how to install it. But now you've broken down those procedures that are quite complex processes into really nice, simple steps. And of course, the little videos show you exactly what to do. If you've got this on your phone before you go there, you'd know exactly what to do. You could even set it up so that you hovered your phone over that and it would pop up onto your phone as well using an AR app within ThingLink as well. And here we can go through to the cabinet itself and see it in all its glory. And the steps here show the installation process. And we've even got a 3D model in there, which has got those hotspots again. So let me ask you, for those of you who are watching, and Claudia, what would you find easier, a PDF or something like this?
Well, I definitely go for something like this. First of all, because a PDF is long, boring, and overwhelming. Whereas if you've got information that are divided into chunks, You basically step by step learn at your own pace and rhythm, and you don't feel overwhelmed by all the loads of information that are coming towards you. You see what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
when I
exactly.
see like a PDF, I need my time to decipher it. I have to take my pen and pencil, of course, my favorite ones, and I have to highlight. And then, of course, I have a ruler. And then, and then I get distracted. Whereas like this, you can't, because it's just, well, this is a maybe because I'm a visual learner, so to me this is the best way for me to learn. So of course, if you bite size information and you give me 3D models and you give me extra information and you give me audio and you give me video, you win me, because of course I love that. And even Mark, I think he says what you just
Yeah.
showed is better for students. It is correct. It's true. It's true. It's just better for students. It's just
Isn't it?
they're not used like us to read books and stay
Yeah.
put for 5, 6 hours. They need interaction, they need movement, and they need to use their brain in a different way as we were used to use it. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
and I also think that it's not either or. You might have
no,
a
no,
PDF as well, and you might,
of
want
course.
to use that. But when I was at a webinar on Saturday morning with Portugal, one of the questions was sometimes parents are, quite don't want to see a lot of digital learning in the classroom. And I often think that once you work with parents and carers and show them how this is used for accessibility and inclusion, it really shows the appropriateness of using digital tools that benefit everybody and how it will benefit them as well, and their learners. So I think this is a really nice way of being able to get the best use out of the tools that you've got in the classroom, the best use out of your devices that you've already purchased, but also it's a really nice way of engaging with parents and carers as well. And Mark's just mentioned as well about universal design
Yeah.
of learning. And I was just about to
Yeah.
come on to that, because I've got some really nice examples here. And this is an example from Laurie. Again, some of these examples are actually quite old, but sometimes they just land well. And
Of
this is an
course.
interactive choice board where you've got different colored icons for the tasks. There's a range of different tasks. Absolutely universal design of learning in action. And it's that kind of buffet. But it means that all of these things, sorry, my dog's just decided to shake. All of the resources are on the same page, because you can embed things in tags as well. So you can embed Google Forms, you can embed slides if you want to, you could embed YouTube clips or Google Maps, as well as those text and media tags, but you can also add in questions and other things as well. So that's a really nice way of being able to create interactive choice boards, and then just share the link with the parents and carers as well if it's a homework choice board, And I think this is kind of like a really nice therapeutic use of AI, and very thoughtful, where Dan Fitzpatrick here, again, this is an oldie but a goodie, it's had 7,333 views, is that this is for self-expression. So if students want to have a literature passage and have a wonderful storytelling kind of task, then you can enable students to use AI appropriately to come up with an imaginative, artistic impression of what that might have looked like. And this is To Kill a Mockingbird that Dan's put together. And here you've got the tags to explain the characters as well. So if you are thinking about students using AI, rather than just searching for information or presenting information, think about how you might use it creatively. And, when I was back in school, we would have gone to the courthouse maybe and read this book, but we don't often get the options to do that now. But here we've got the courthouse that you can go in and explore the characters again. And of course, you could add in all of that multimodality. And the last resource that I really wanted to show you is that quite often in reducing cognitive overload, we can show learners the path ahead that they're going to be taking on a particular course or a module. And you're starting as you mean to go on. So it's an interactive learning journey that builds clarity and confidence from the start. And this was my barista course. And here we've got in module 1, there's audio in there, it's bringing the vibes. You're going to explore the cafe culture, and then you wrap up module 1, learning the basics. And there's also a bit about being contemplative and developing critical skills, managing grumpy customers. And then you kind of finish strong and move on. So imagine giving that to a parent in advance so that they can support their learner, their student, as their sons or daughters, or their students with really nice ways of being able to see the path ahead on that course, and a learner seeing what's ahead for them as well. And it's just a really nice way of being able to build a connection. Claudia, I know that you're going to say something there.
No, it's because, I love this kind of course outline, because everything is so well organized and you don't feel, as I told you before, overwhelmed by because maybe there is a lot to study and to sink in, but at the end of the day, if you've got everything well organized and well structured, you take your time and you do your own way. And, we don't study the same. So, I mean, I can, because I'm eager, so I want to do it all in one session, but you can actually take your time and develop your potential step by step. And this is another amazing example of accessibility. Yeah. Do you want to open that? Because that's...
Yes. So in this example, the teacher took a 360 of the classroom, and they took the 360 of the classroom at different times of the day. So there's different light in the early morning, different light in the evening. In winter, it might be dark. But this was given to students before they got to the classroom to think about where they might want to sit and where the lights might be, where the door might be. And the feedback was just phenomenal, that parents found this really helpful in providing comfort for their young person to go on to this school. So please do have a look at that example. And going back to cultivating connections, and this is an example from Cedar Lodge School in Northern Ireland, and big shout out to them, because this actually is finalists in an ICT and Excellent Award. And they've built this school tour. And what's lovely about this school tour is that it's got the sounds of the bus pulling up. And you can go through and meet the teachers in each of the classrooms as well. It shows you what the zebra crossings are looking like. And they're saying, this isn't your average tour. It's about open doors and open minds. And I can't think of a better way to welcome your students and your parents and visitors. I'm just going to paste the link in the chat there as well, so people can have a look at that. But it's just a phenomenal way to make sure that everybody feels comfortable about coming to school and starting school, getting rid of those ideas and bringing the comfort. So that's why I wanted to include that example as well. And as you saw from that barista course, it's not just about, using 360s of places that are familiar to us. In a world of AI, I think people crave real world problems, real world places and spaces. And of course, with a 360 camera, or even with your mobile phone, you can take a panoramic image, upload that into ThingLink. You can add in 360 objects, as you saw. You can take those with the new ThingLink Capture app and make them really, really engaging and really exploratory as well. And this came out of the conference I was in Northern Ireland, when they said one of the biggest things about transitions is independent living experiences. Yeah. And this was a new place of independent living, and the students wanted to share what it was going to be like to live in that place, and they put all these tags on there to show the equipment in there as well. And this is actually for elderly people. It's so they were showing how the technology could support elderly care home transitions as well. And it's just such a different range of using things. So we have a nice question here from Mark.
Yes.
So to create the 360 image, you need a 360 camera. No.
No.
Is within ThingLink, it's called Pano to 360.
Yes.
So what you can do is just take a panoramic image with your phone. I'm just going to pull it up here.
Yes.
So if you just take the panoramic image, which is one scoosh, one swipe, rather than lots of things like that, and then you upload the panoramic image into ThingLink. You can do this actually in your account as well. We turn it into a photosphere with a little bit of AI. We use gradient blocks. So that means that you don't have to remember, or if you don't have a 360 camera, you don't have to buy one. And if you're anything like me, my 360 camera is usually in my desk drawer, not charged up, rather than in my bag when I need it. So yeah, that's Pano to 360. And if you do have an iPad or an iPad mini or an iPhone, you can also use other tools with LiDAR to take 3D objects and 3D spaces, which is different from 360. But if you're starting out, I would definitely start out with exploring 360 images and uploading them. And of course, if you're in your ThingLink account and you want to explore our libraries as well, when you hit the create button and you go to 360 image, here you can generate with AI, use that Pano to 360, and there's also 360 library, which you can use as well, which is a great way to get started. And you can drag and drop from your device as well. Of course. So lots of options there for you as well. So I had to put this in as well, because this is one that's got the most phenomenal feedback. And that is, it's just such a shame if you have an art exhibition, maybe people can't get to it. Maybe it's something that gets taken down a week later because there's another exhibition coming in. And this is such a beautiful way of creating an everlasting art exhibition, which means this can be shared with parents and carers. If you've got, this is in an inaccessible place, for example, you can make sure that this lasts forever and students can keep this. And the pride that students have when they annotate their own artifacts with their own words, I think that it just makes it come to life. You've got the ability to go to an art exhibition with the real artists' voices, and that's captured more, and I think that's just phenomenal. But it's not just for students and parents and carers. And Claudia, tell us about this resource, because you put this together.
Yeah, so this is a resource that I created for teachers. As you can see, I divided the resource into chunks. Can you show that for me? Thank you. And I used locked mode because I didn't want teachers to be overwhelmed by, reading and listening and everything. So I wanted them to digest step by step all the relevant information to create this, let's say, interactive expeditions with their students. So here you've got all the thoughtful instructions, including the me of the past with a nice video. This is me coming from the past to talk to you and saying, yes, so these are the ingredients to prepare an amazing lesson. So what you have to do is this, and that. And then, of course, you follow along with all the different steps that comes afterwards. And then you also have, you got different phases, of course. And because there is locked mode, they're going to be unlocked once you read and go through everything. And then I decided to go the extra mile and put extra information like the why not page. So, for example, you want to go Vygotsky input +1, so you can go for collaborative expedition and language integration. If, like me, you're not an English native speaker, but you would never tell, but it is what it is. And then, of course, you go you will never tell. Then you can have audio narration, multimodality, so audio, video. You can help your students achieve their potential also with formative assessment. And this is the way to go for teachers that don't really know how to start smart and process everything. This is a nice guy, hopefully a nice guy,
Really great.
you know, just to move your first step towards amazing expedition with your students.
So
Yeah.
really what you've done there is you demonstrated how a whole school community can access inclusive and accessible resources, whether you're a teacher, a parent and carer, someone visiting the school, whether a young person, everyone can benefit in the whole school community. And I think that's a really, really important message. So there's one last thing in terms of creating learning experiences, and that is where real skills and real outcomes can be a whole experience, and that is with the scenario builder.
Yes.
So you can build branching scenarios, and every step of that branching scenario where you can take different choices and see the consequences of those choices. Here's my little scenario, and that also has accessibility player. It also has a immersive reader in it. And here I'm building up the context so my learners know the journey that I'm taking them through. I've got my interactive machine, the machine breaks down. And then even when it comes to these branching blocks where you can choose which path you're going to go down, that also has immersive reader built into it. So every step you have as a creator or an educator have the confidence that this is going to be accessible. Okay, so it's not just, we mentioned students as creators as well, and you kind of summarize this on your lovely resource, Claudia. But if you're going on a school trip or a field trip, a kind of excursion, if you like, how nice it is that you build a virtual trip before you get to that trip, because then it enables your learners to maybe understand where things are, where the toilets might be, or where they're going to get an impression of where they're going. That can be really helpful. One school even had the bus journey that they're going to be taking, what it was like to get on the bus or the boat when they were going to France. So all of these things can really help. But what about students then taking their own media when they're on that trip, and then back in school recreating their own virtual trip? So it's virtual trips and visits completely reimagined, and we're delighted to be working with Stanford University on this, because they have actually evaluated this and have said that there are many different learning outcomes, whether it's handling digital media, whether it's being able to develop confidence in presentation skills, but all of those explanations and reflections buried in those hotspots can really help. And of course, this is just a wonderful example where you've got students who are working on their biome.
Me and my buddy are going to talk to you about how mountains.
That's right.
So,
I think that's just so lovely. They've been able to collaborate together. And when I've been working with students creating things like this, you explain what those accessibility tools are, and it's a really non-threatening way to say, how can we make sure that everyone can enjoy what you've created? And the pennies really drop when they see that those features are baked in for them as creators as well. You've seen this one before, another one of my favorite ways of taking everyday tasks and elevating them to become more inclusive and accessible as well. And here's our lovely shoebox project. And then, of course, there's this one that's an immersive diorama. They've just placed a 360 camera into their experience here and then annotated it to say what their favorite artist is all about. And again, this is immersive, it's inclusive, it can be shared, and it's going to be something that's going to be kept forever as well.
Nice.
So we've talked a lot about creating and experiencing those immersive learning experiences, but what about the devices that they can be viewed on as well? So when we think about a personal immersion, we want to make sure that this can be viewed on a headset. It can be viewed on a class of headsets, and that includes everything from Class VR, Meta Quest 2 right the way through to high-end headsets like an Apple Vision Pro. And that's kind of like a personal immersion, because you're kind of on your own in there, although you do get some collaborative experiences. That might be something in the future. But students can experience those experiences on a device as well, whether it's a mobile phone, an iPad mini, it might be a Chromebook or a Mac or a PC, but everything I've shown you will work on all of those devices. So that means if screen readers are used or any other AAC type of communicative tools, then they will work with those devices. But it also work on your whiteboards or your interactive projectors, and that becomes more tactile. Maybe you want to interact with it that way. It will also even work on your immersive spaces as well. So if you have got immersive rooms in your organization, it will work on those as well. So you've got confidence from creation to the way it's shared to the way that it's viewed, and that can happen in a way that that's right for your learners. So all that's left for me to say now really is, and I'd love to hear if there's any more questions, then please do ask away, is that, you know, a lot of this information is on our website. We've got lots and lots of support materials. So please do click on the links on this deck when it comes out to you and explore all those examples. And yeah, I can say hand on heart, it's only going to get better as well, because ThingLink is so committed to external audits as well. So we're going through an external audit process at the moment, which is Alliant, and we're trying to go well above and beyond the compliance measures, which was one of the messages that I wanted to get across.
Yay.
I hope I've covered everything. Are there any questions at all? Is there anything that I particularly missed, do you think?
I don't think so. I think you were perfect.
Oh, thank you.
No questions from the audience. So that means you were good.
I think what I'd like to do is just to, you know, kind of try and think of other examples. And I met this really amazing person who has a company called Maths for Life. And she was saying how great it would be to create contextual math skills examples, because rather than doing maths equations, make it relevant to young people. So imagine what it's like to go into a cinema and you have to choose which is the best combination to buy of snacks. But actually going into the cinema is quite difficult to organize. But, you know, everyday situations, you know, what do you do when this happens, and how you can make it accessible and make it real and contextual for your learners as well. So lots of information and lots of examples, and I can't wait to see what everyone creates. And Mark just says, thank you for all the information. Thank you for joining us, Mark. I'm so pleased that you got in touch, and please do share this YouTube video as well, and all the slides and the links. And please do get in touch with us. Claudia is one of our ThingLink certified trainers. Mark, our newest ThingLink certified trainer. Molly joining us as well. You know, you're welcome to be part of our community as well. We welcome you with open arms. So all that's left to say is thank you so much for joining us. Claudia, thank you for being part of our webinar again. You always bring the sparkle.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's such great fun being with you and learn from you and learn from the audience. Thank you so much. Have the greatest of evening or the best of days if you start your day, because, you know, you never know. And we'll see you next time.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much, everyone. Take care wherever you are. See you soon. Bye-bye.